Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Cornerstone.
Hello.
We are the Sawyers, and I'm glad you're
Okay.
here.
Joe,
We look
John.
like we're looking up in the air for some reason. I'm not sure why. But anyway, Sandra's the first one here today. Thank you, Sandra, for coming in. We're so glad you're here. Nadell is the second one. Here comes Joe. And there's John Greason.
There's Clinton Green.
And Dion and George. And there is CJ and Apostle Norman. Glad you guys are here with us
They made
today.
it back safe.
Yeah. Wow, it's a beautiful day. Hot as usual for this particular season. Not sure why it's so hot. And there's Brooke Kessler. Hey, Brooke Kessler. You did a good job for us yesterday.
Yeah, appreciate that, man.
There's Sissy and brother-in-law. Glad you guys are with us, and welcome to Cornerstone. And welcome to another Heart to Heart with Pastor and myself. And we're gonna try to knock something out of the ballpark today. I don't know what we're gonna knock out, but we're gonna do it, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, let's go ahead and do our affirmations while others are coming in. Let's go ahead and do our prayer for the morning and center in and acknowledge where God is, and who we are in our essence. I want you to gear down and get still if you can. If you got a cup of coffee or tea or whatever, that's fine. Just as few distractions as possible. And I want you to take a deep breath in and release it. Take another deep breath in and release it. And repeat after me. On this day, I ask to be a vehicle of divine love and a channel of your will. I surrender all personal will through devotion. I dedicate my life to service. I choose love and peace above all other options. I commit to the goal of unconditional love and compassion. And I surrender all judgment. Father, let this day not be a day spent in the mind, but a day absorbed in unity with you inside my heart. Be in my eyes and in my seeing. Be in my ears and in my hearing. Be in my mouth and in my speaking. Be in my mind and in my understanding. Fill me with yourself and replace me with you. Fill me with yourself and replace me with you. And so it is. Amen and amen. All right. What you got on the platter today? On the
just listening
menu
to
today.
everybody, and I want to thank all of you for coming online with us today. And we really want to hear some comments back from you guys out there today about some of the things that we've been talking about online. It would be good to hear a little release of your insight and what you've been picking up from the classes. Yes. And I'm sure that some of you out there have got something boiling inside of you, and you're ready to bake the cake. Okay, and I want to know how you're doing with some of this stuff, which you don't have to based on trying to prove anything, but we like to I like the conversation.
Yes.
Because I will tell you something, as you move further inward, already acknowledging facts without belief, facts without faith, facts without hope, facts without reading, facts without studying, you're going to find out that there's a lot of things that you have been doing as maintenance and upkeep will drop off, because you'll come to a place where is no need for something eternal to be fixed, something eternal to be repaired, something eternal to be looked into to see if it is still eternal. Eternal objects, or eternal whatever it is, does not have to be examined to see if it is there, if it's still existing, is it still on the mark. That is where you come to the place of death. Death, not annihilation, but death to frustration.
And suffering, yes.
Death to frustration, suffering, investigation, and seekingation. I call it seekingation, meaning you don't seek to prove to anybody, to yourself, if what you know by insight and revelation is real and exists. So when I saw Jesus the first time, well, if I go back further than creation, that's the thing that gets me. Every time I say something like that, I being there before any creation. We say God created everything, but we existed before a thing. We were not considered a thing. If you're going to meditate, get your tater straight. That's what I saw. If you're going to meditate, you know what you want. You actually in the restaurant, you want your fully loaded tater, you want a baked potato, or you want a sweet potato. Don't care what kind of tater it is. If you say fully loaded, you got a loaded tater. And your meditator, you can't see what we try to do is meditate on the tater, and when we put something like scallions on that and something on that we try to pick it out. That's what most of us do when we sit down and we use the course and we use the Bible the same way. Any book, if we run across something and it don't go in we don't want it in our tater, we'll go picking it with the fork and the knife, trying to get what we don't want in the tater. There will come a time when you won't have to pick your tater anymore.
Okay.
You leave your tater where it is, and you just leave it where it is. You move off of the tater. As a matter of fact, you'll get to the place where you won't even have to have a tater.
Well, okay, that's enough taters. I think.
Taters.
That's enough
taters. You want your
taters.
taters mashed. You want them creamed. You want them, you want them with scallions in them. You want them with pickles and all that other stuff. Forget it. You don't. If look, the answer to this is your Christ self. Oh, I know God is the answer to everything. Okay, if God is there, let's break it down to the first grade stage. If God is in you, it's still God in everybody else that does not change. God don't change because he's in a different vessel.
Yes.
He's the same. That's where you got to put your meditator on. Put your meditator on that kind of talk. That's what I told Miss Leslie this morning. That's grown folks talk.
Yeah, Leslie, by the way, is on, and so
it's her birthday.
Yeah, that's what she says.
You got one coming up.
I have one coming up.
And everybody else out there, a lot of them got it coming up.
And we just had some more people come
what
in.
What you talking about?
And we were on Thursday for Impromptu, John. I'm not sure
were.
What happened. I think on Facebook it didn't show for some reason, but it's on the YouTube channel. And good morning, you guys. Leslie, happy birthday to you.
And some others.
Happy birthday to you, sis. Not happy birthday, but good morning to you, Sister Chris. Hello, Sinette from Denmark.
Hey, I have a birthday. If you want me to have one, I'll take one today.
Now, Sinette says, she said, I get we are whole, perfect, and feel it more and more. Also, a quiet mind, but it is still a dance, a tango for me, and
Okay,
it is for
okay,
all of
okay.
us, Sinette. Yes,
Miss,
yes.
Miss Sister Tater. I'm gonna call you Sister
Sister
Meditator.
Tater.
Sister Tater, Meditator. That
Mhm.
is where you give up the part. Let's say it like this. I'm gonna back it up, make it easy for you. God gives these things up, and that's why we hear people say, "I love you with the love of God." They have no idea what they really saying. They're saying, "There's a part of me that can't love, don't love," and it talks like it does, but it's fake.
Yeah.
If you go put your attention on that part of you that is love, you will feel like a broke neck chicken in the meat house. Thing don't work right. You don't. Your mind ain't quiet. You can't. You don't feel like you want to dance. You don't feel like you want to talk. Any kind of feeling. You. This is grown up talk now. You get past it by looking at it,
Mhm.
and then if you talk about it, you know that it's not your mouth that's
Mhm.
talking about it. I'm telling you something, honey, that I'm learning from the hearing thing. That's my body,
That
mind
you're
don't want to
going
hear.
through. Mm-hmm.
I have to, and it's aggravating sometimes. It is aggravating to whatever is aggravating. You're not the aggravated one. That's what I'm
Yeah.
trying to tell you.
Yes.
You're not
Yes.
the shortcoming. You're not the aggravated one. You're not even the ones trying. You're not even the one asking somebody to pray for them.
Right.
You're not
Right.
even the one that's looking and reading and studying. You're not even the one that's bringing the memory of it back of a quotation. You are so cool
Mhm.
that listen to this. You are so cool on your tater that if your tater was cold, your butter would still melt.
Okay.
Now you ain't never heard of a cold tater melting butter, but you can. And the way you do this is, and I had to learn this because I heard people say, you got to quiet your mind. Mine didn't get quiet. It ain't never been quiet,
And it probably won't be
and it
quiet,
won't.
except for brief periods of time. Yeah,
Mm,
I've had
yeah.
brief periods of
hmm
time.
But I must rise above it.
We
And the way
must
you
rise
rise
above
above
it.
it, you don't do nothing. You just
Allow it to
like my
be.
ear right now. It sounds like a tornado or wind blowing in it, like blowing past a window, like a storm. And let me tell you, when you think back when a time when you didn't have this, or here's another one,
Well, before
70,
you
74.
go into another one,
Mhm.
I wanted to acknowledge some of these others. We have it coming in. Virginia, Fleeta just came in. Thank you for coming in
Good,
today,
good, Miss
Fleeta.
Fleeta.
And I like what Morgan said. Let me find it right
Morgan
quick.
J.
Morgan says, "Happy Uterus Liberation Day."
Uterus. Oh, boy, that sounds like a medical
That's another
term.
way to say happy birthday.
Yeah, that's a good one there.
There's some others who have birthdays, but we won't go through all of those. Yes, I have one coming up. Yeah, so it's just good that you guys are here.
If God and us in our true identity is one, we can't stand before Him.
Yeah.
Because what stands before Him, if there's anything that stands before Him, it's not real because we are that something stands in front of.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Hot dog. I like that kind of stuff. Listen. Once you get into this thing real tasty, I used to wonder are these sages guys like Muja and all these guys we know online, they talk that mystical talk. I found out how they do that. They don't know how to do it. They get to a certain point where if they say it any other way, it does not satisfy the claim.
Yes. Yes.
They done found out how not to sign their name or initials on anything outside of that certain kind of talk, and they found out what it is. It is the real communication investigation that absolutely says, no, I cannot talk that way. It's not about cussing and lying and stealing and cheating and all that. It's about all of a sudden I done tried talking like this and it just don't fit right on my plate. You know, my spoon just don't. My spoon.
Why are you talking about potatoes and spoons? And are you hungry?
No, it's just my parables are coming up like that.
Okay.
That's the same thing I'm describing to them. I talk my talk.
Yes,
The talk
you
that
do.
I talk the talk that actually sets the claim
For you. Yes.
for at the moment
Yes.
for this
I
this
got
right
you.
here.
I got you.
Okay.
I was just wondering
Now if
were
I
you
start talking
hungry?
about blackberries and apple pie, I mean that would be one of the good one too. But I don't want to talk about that today. Okay. Morgan, you're doing all right. You're doing all right. Sharon Harrison, you're doing all right. Miss Lisa, you're doing all right. You're good. You're good. Virginia Carter, you're all right. You ain't never been all right. Write it, put it down on paper. This is the last time I'm going to tell myself that it ain't straight.
Okay.
I am now settled. I don't care if I go to church or don't go to church. I am free. I saw something on him. We are so eternal free. We're free from good and bad,
We're free from labels.
left and right.
We're free from labels, and we're free from judgments.
Somebody better talk to me.
Judgments. I just learned this week. And it's wonderful that you can learn as you go. No matter how old you are, you can learn something every day. I just learned this week what judgment comes from.
Ooh.
Judgment comes from desire for the other to be the way you want them to be. So when I look at a person and they're not like I want them to be, I have a judgment, or something has a judgment. And that is not what we are. We don't live in the realm of labels. We don't live in the realm of opposites. If you go back to the Genesis narrative, when they ate of the fruit of the forbidden fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, that was the tree of opposites. That is not where we're supposed to live. We're supposed to live under the tree or with the fruit of the tree of life, which means there are no labels. There is no judgments. There's no desires for the other to be different just so that I will feel better.
You take a glass and pour ocean water in it. The quality of water that's in that glass is no different than the ocean out on the earth.
Yes, it's the same.
It is.
And that's the same. That's how we are. We're like the teaspoon out of the ocean, but we're the same as the ocean.
You know,
we are a piece of the ocean.
I got a part of me that want to just jump up and down, just shout, glory be to God. Because what we are talking about is nothing else to talk about.
Exactly. So my desire for somebody else to be different is where my labels and judgments come from. I want them to, we either label them good or bad. And it all boils down to the fact that I just want them to be different for me to feel better. And things have to be different so I'll feel better.
I don't want to feel better and serve God. As a matter of fact, I don't want to serve God at all.
So if I'm in a relationship and the other person is not like I would desire them to be, I would destroy that relationship by trying them to be like I want them to be, because I'm operating out of my judgments.
Yeah.
And I'm doing nothing but judging them the whole time I'm in the relationship.
You know what's so amazing about what we're talking about? When I go in my closet, I don't go in there to wait on God anymore.
Because you don't have to.
I don't go in there to wait to hear what God had to say to me for the day.
Yeah.
I don't have to go in there and sit in there for God to give me a revelation. I just love God being me, going anywhere in the house.
Yes. So, yes.
That tastes good.
So we earth creatures, I'm going to speak to us as earth creatures right now. As earth creatures, we have never known what unconditional love even feels like. Unconditional love has absolutely no judgments, and that's That's hard
That
for
part of, that is
that's
a
hard
real
for
part
the
of you like that.
yeah, and that's hard for the human mind to even
Yeah,
accept,
it's like
because that
that.
means everybody's okay
Yeah.
the way they
If
are,
they go home, stay in that place.
even if they don't make me feel good.
That's right.
Yeah, they're still okay.
Yes.
Because there is nothing outside of
Nothing.
God, and
Nothing.
everyone is the imaginings of God.
If you
playing roles.
If you come in the front door, God. If you go at the back door, it's God.
Yes, playing roles for us to all wake up. So every situation, every person is playing a role, whether I feel good by them or bad by them, doesn't really matter, because they are doing what they're doing to run me to my true self, to literally run me to my true self.
I am not, you are. You are, I am not. So I come to find out that I can't stand in front of you and I can talk to God like I'm talking to him now. If I want to talk to him out in space or in time.
And you are talking them out in space and time,
still,
because they're all out in space as far as we're concerned. We can't see their faces.
What was so staggering, baby doll, when I looked at the word omnipotent, my mind closed off, and in a box said, ain't nobody perfect but God. But then I go back, I even took the elementary side and said, well, what about that part of me that's born of God? Yes. That's what we say.
Yeah.
I said, well, if I'm born of God, all that was born of God is just like what was born of God and from God.
Well, go back to the ocean and the teaspoon.
Yeah.
And the teaspoon.
Yeah.
If the being born again is somebody taking the teaspoon and dipping a piece of the ocean out. That's all being born again is.
Here's a good one. Not any of us can evade or escape this ability.
Yes.
We are the. Wait a minute. That's like if I want to ask a 6-year-old boy or girl, are you grown? No.
Well, they may think they are.
If they say yes, I'm grown, they're gonna say, you just want me to say that, but no, mean I'm not grown until I can see and reach a certain earth time birthdays.
Yeah.
I don't never get old. I feel like it in my body if I go to that body. Look.
So what? Wait. Before you go any further,
go ahead.
What's the difference in a child and an adult?
In
the physical, we know is a body that is grown to the point where it has grown all it's going to grow, and now it's at that point of this deteriorating, which we've kind of come into. But anyway, but as psychologically, what's the difference between a child and an adult?
Sound like to me, ain't nobody come short of the glory.
Exactly. Or have we all come short of it?
I ain't short. I ain't 5. I might be 5'6" in the physical.
Now,
I might be 5'6" in the physical, but there's no height to me.
So psychologically, the child sometimes is more mature than the adult.
You know what? Ego process. You're trying to make yourself equal with God, like we did with Jesus. You know, I said, don't have to. I am.
Right.
That's right. What we talking about. What we talking about? Settling the dust.
Yes.
Settling the fight, settling the spiritual warfare. Do you know spiritual warfare exists only in that territory that you put yourself into? But if you don't put yourself attention into it, it's there, but it just don't get on your last nerve. You go ahead on, I'm going to say that, you go ahead on and knock the hell out of the unbelief and the belief system and come on home to the Father consciousness and stay there. And if you slip out once in a while, Daddy still ain't going to disown you.
Right.
I'm not saying it's you okay to go out here and rob a bank, steal, smoke, dip, and chew, and hang around everybody's do. That will take, you know what will eliminate that? Finding out revelation, insight about who you really are.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm coming to a place, and I wanted to say this because of what Sinette mentioned earlier, how she feels like she's still playing tango, doing the tango with all of these tug of war inside. And I tell you what, Sinette, I'm kind of coming to a place where I'm not trying to fix me. I'm not trying to get rid of the tango anymore. And you may be there as well. I've come to understand that the tango is just what it is. That tug of war is just what it is. That is just a part of the perplexity, the dichotomy, this being in two worlds that we live in. That's a part of our being. So that tug of war, that mind that's chattering, that mind is just, and those feelings that I think are contrary, all of those things, I'm kind of coming to a place where I'm not even dealing with those anymore. At one point, I was trying to deal with all of that because I felt like it shouldn't be. That should not be. If I'm an enlightened being, if I'm awake, all of that shouldn't be. So I was trying constantly to fix it. And I've got to let all that go. And now I'm just learning to just be without the judgment. See, the judgments again the judgment about I'm not where I should be spiritually, I'm not where I should be in any area of my life. It's coming from a desire that things need to be different so that I'll feel better. So knowing that causes me to let go and just really begin to enjoy things the way they are.
When we speak spontaneous as the resurrection power of consciousness, it affects everybody and everything around us. I know I told a guy, I said, if you would wash my Jeep for me, I said, I will give you all the change in my cubby hole in my console in my Jeep. It was loaded with change because every time I go somewhere and I get change, I just put it in there. Yeah. Well, I got out the Jeep one night, and I had just told him that day before. And I got out the Jeep, and I forgot to lock the door, and so I went out to take off somewhere on an errand, and I looked down there and I saw where my glove compartment was open, and all the change was gone.
In other words, you told the crook where the money was.
I did.
And they got it.
Ain't nobody.
But listen, this is the thing. In our human mind, we would think, man, that person stole from me. But I remember Byron Katie saying this. He said, if she had anything and she went through this thing where somebody took something, she said she must have bought it for them. You must have put that for him.
Now, you know what I started to do? Now, it's my next door neighbor, but you know what I started to do? What? I started to tell him, I ain't done it yet because it takes strength to do it.
Because you know who took it,
Oh,
right?
yeah, I know. I started to tell him, I said, you know what, man? Somebody came by here the other night, and I left my door open on my Jeep and stole all that money I told you I was going to give you out of my glove compartment and my console. And I said, they don't know I got pictures of them.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell him that I got, and I said the one that did it is right close to us, and I know who it is. And I'm gonna tell him when I get ready, I'm gonna take the picture to the police department and show it to him. I really ain't gonna do it. I want his britches to get so tight the way he walk, they squeak. But that ain't too good to talk like that.
No.
I like to see him squirm a little bit.
The human mind wants to see him squirm. It really does.
I like to see that monkey swing on the limb,
and that's where
break bust his butt. But anyway,
that's where we humans live. We live there. We live there.
And he looks at me. I know the boy ain't straight. I know it is. I mean,
listen to this. Listen to this. This is in Matthew, and you make me think about it.
Go ahead.
Matthew 5 and verse. Let's see if we're on to start. 38. Jesus was talking about. He said, "You've heard that it's been said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth." This is all about judgments now. They wrong. and I'm right. Okay. But I say to you that you resist not evil. Now we always talking in our Christian circles, spiritual warfare. You got to make sure that the devil don't take nothing from you. He said, resist not evil. Okay, but whosoever shall smite you on the right cheek, turn to him the other also. Now, this is not about slapping. This is not about slapping somebody. And if any man will sue you at law, take away your coat. Listen, take away your coat. Let him have your cloak also. If he take your coat, give him your blanket or whatever he's talking about. So this is talking about the peaceful warrior. The peaceful warrior. And as I said, Byron Katie said, if they take it from me, I must have bought it for them. So it's not about fighting. It's about not resisting evil, not resisting the things that are coming up, and allowing and being the peaceful warrior. Who she said Fleeta said she hopes he's not watching. He's not. I guarantee you he's not. But he doesn't know what we're talking about anyway, because he would have to admit that he was the one.
And he's the only neighbor we got. We got all kinds of neighbors around here. So I mean, if he, he knows. You know.
Yeah, we know, and he knows too. But
he still cuts my grass.
Yeah, but and because at some level, you haven't had to forgive him because you're not really offended.
No. A part of me feel like it, but I know that's not the real me.
Part of you does.
I know that's not me.
That part of us is that human part of us, but that part that is unconditional love has no problem with him having to change.
Now, I'm not going to say, if I went out there over the night and saw him with his butt up in the air on my Jeep, and I had my pellet gun,
then you might would have.
I would have popped him. Let me tell you something happened. When we lived in Winston, that was I used to haul wood a lot in a pickup truck, and this truck, I got out again and left the door open, so I kept hearing something over in the night out there, and I went there, and I looked down there that morning, and I looked in the thing, and there was a lady that was worked at the hospital. She got dismayed or dislocated, disoriented, and her husband had called the police, was looking for him. And,
she had crawled into your truck,
crawled into my truck, and she said she didn't know where she was. I went out there and I said, "Lady, do you know what you're doing?" I said, "You in my truck." And the first thing when I said that, y'all listen to it. First thing, now if I'd opened the door and she had a gun, that would have been a different story. Yeah. But it didn't. I opened the door and I looked and I said, "What are you doing in my truck?" And all of a sudden I remember back, compassion come over me. So I wouldn't call the police department. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, because you had to help her.
And come to find out, her husband, they contacted her, and he came. And I asked the policeman, I said, "Let me ask you a question after everything was over." I said, "If this lady had broken my house and I caught her and shot her, what would happen to me?" They said, "We would lock you up."
Yeah, that's the way it is.
That's what they said.
That's the way it is. But now you remember, we were at the post office. This is a little bit kind of like what you're saying. We were at the post office. I got out and went in.
Oh Lord!
He stayed in the vehicle.
Yep, I sure did.
I came back out and got in the car. But when I got in the car, I didn't realize I'd stepped into another person's car.
Next to me.
Right next to where we were.
What did I do?
Wait a minute. But the husband his wife was obviously in the post office, the man was still sitting in his.
Yeah.
So I got in and I sat down and I looked over at him and he looked at me and he started laughing. And I went, "Oh my God!" I sat down and then by that time his wife was coming out of the post office.
I watched.
He watched the whole thing.
I sat there and I looked. I saw the wife come out.
He let me get in there and didn't stop.
I looked at her. I didn't say nothing. I looked at her. She got in there and she went up beside me and opened the door next to me. And when she got in the truck, I looked and she turned and looked at me. And she said, "Oh, I'm in the truck."
And his wife, her eyes got big as saucers when she saw me in that car, and I'm, "Oh my God."
Oh, Lord.
That was a moment.
I just sat there and laughed at her.
That was a moment.
She had too much moonshine.
And you are kidding. I
She
did.
she
I
was
did.
she partied too much that night before. Got over and I just said, hey, I just sat there and looked. I said, I wonder how far she gonna go with this thing.
Listen, so that says she had an old car and not locked the door, so a thief broke the window to steal a very old radio, and they laughed about it.
Yeah.
But my point is that there, and his point is that there's always going to be this part of you that wants to retaliate.
Ain't got no sense.
But then there's the peaceful warrior that's inside of you as well, that if they take it, you give them the rest of it. So this is the dichotomy that we live in. This is what we live in. That nature of love wants to live through us, and it's the only combative part is that nature of love trying to get out beyond that mind that wants to pass judgment.
And the more you struggle with trying to shut this down, the stronger it get, because you are giving it the attention, and the attention is the strength that it's looking for. Now, this is good stuff, y'all.
It's very good stuff. It's very good.
Fleeta, I'm going to tell you, Miss Fleeta, I hope he isn't listening. Yeah, baby. But if he is, that was meant for him to hear.
And he doesn't know if he's listening. He still wouldn't know.
I ain't told him nothing. And I won't tell him anything.
Right. And if he is listening, you know what you did.
Yeah. Yeah. I went down to one of my neighbors' house, one of them.
Now, Leslie said she did the same thing I did. She, with a lookalike car, she jumped in. It happens. It happens. Laverne, who was at her family reunion today, she says I'm just like I Love Lucy, because I always do stuff like that.
I love who?
I Love Lucy.
Oh yeah, Lucy. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey,
Sinette, we had an old car. That's what you just said that. Okay.
So sin. I'm gonna read from one of my notes now. Pastor's always reading his notes. And sin is the belief that I am less than I should be, and that I'm tainted by my life experiences. I'm unworthy. So that's the sin.
Sin is listening to the condescending feeling voice that makes you get your attention on the condescender, and your mind off of the already arrived identity.
True.
Or the already there identity.
Yes. And then in arriving at that already there identity is where all the psychological suffering and effort goes away.
Yeah, and listen to this. This is a good way. And if you run across somebody out and they start talking to you, say, "How's your headache? How's your surgery go?" I said, "It went fine." Are you still having trouble? Yeah.
Right.
I tell them, yeah, because that's where they are, and that's where but you know the truth behind it. So your truth is not telling people what they need or want to say. Your truth is who you've always been without that or with that. But you love, I guess you love them enough to just be straight down the middle of the road, because everybody is not going to be grounded in what we're talking about. So you understand the bigger picture of everything, but you don't let this thing make you feel like you got to be controlled by anybody. You love them enough to want them to know that you don't have to talk crazy talk in front of them. Because we were the same way when we come along when it started out in this stuff. We act like, oh, I suppose the Christians don't do this. Christians don't do that. Christians do everything like everybody else do.
Yeah. Now, I want to ask this question. You guys talk back at me about it. Is there the thought that if I walk in that kind of love, I'm going to be taken advantage of? Kick it back at me, please. Is there a thought that says if I walk in that kind of love, that I'm going to be taken advantage of? Because I know that thought goes through me.
Yeah, it does.
If I walk in that kind of unconditional love, the world's going to walk all over me. But is that true?
No.
Is that absolutely true? And am I the only one who had that thought? And is that the mind's way of resisting allowing this unconditional love to come through. Because it's going against all of our conditionings, all of the things we've ever been taught in life about protecting ourselves, self-defense and self-protection, self-preservation. All of those things, they go against the unconditional love in a lot of ways.
Okay. We're going to run into all of these situations. They call them situations in the physical world.
Mm-hmm.
But your maturity dictates to you mature in awareness of your true identity will show you how in wisdom. It's called wisdom buzz. It's called wisdom. Wisdom will show you politeness. Wisdom will show you and be you knowing how to talk to people. Wisdom, don't you come to my house no more. If you come in, put your foot up on my driveway again, I'll blow your toe off. Well, now you may want to say that, but you got to say it in a different way. I don't think it would be too nice or too cool for you to come back. I love you, but I love you at a distance. I appreciate all you helped me with and all you did, but I think we ought to just wait a while before we get you to come back and do something else. Now, there are going to be times when you are going to blast.
Yes.
I ain't playing with this. You know you want to cuss them out. And you will, country folks cuss anyway.
Well, because my dad's people were country folk and they cussed every other sentence.
Every other breath,
Yeah.
And I was raised up around all that. But yet that was a time when I didn't know anything about what we're teaching now. When I lived in it, I didn't want to cuss because they cussed all the time. But you know what? I've been trying my best to get rid of all that cussing around me, but it ain't stopped.
Mm-hmm. Now, look, Jill says that sometimes she does think that if she walks in that kind of unconditional...
I thought we were going to say, Jill, sometimes I cuss too. Okay, go ahead, Ms. Jill.
No, but sometimes she feels like I said, sometimes you feel like if you walk in that kind of unconditional love, that people are going to take advantage of you or the world's going to take advantage of you. And you know what, Jill, I think that it's different for people who are conditioned differently. For like my husband, for instance, came up in such violence and where he had to protect himself and someone else who was there in the house with him more so than I did. I had some of the similar things, but not as to the level that he experienced. So I don't have the same desire to retaliate or fight to protect, the same mind to want to go shoot somebody. That doesn't come through my mind at all because but for him that's part of his conditioning. So it does come through the mind. So based on your conditioning, things will go through your mind about how to deal with this. How do I handle this? And when you get locked into your conditionings, you want to handle it that way. And sometimes that may be go shoot them, go knock them out, and all of that. But see, that doesn't go through everyone because everybody's not conditioned the same way.
I tell you, you might say, I ain't gonna do this, I won't do that, I ain't gonna say that.
Right, but you don't really know
until you get into
a situation. Yes.
That's right.
And that's where the not passing judgment, even on yourself, because you may react or respond a certain way that you think your mind thinks is wrong, and you shouldn't do it that way. But then if you live beyond labels, there are no rights and wrongs. There is just the playing of roles for all of us to wake up.
I'll be sitting in my garage out there working on a toy or doing the sewing on my sewing machine. And I was out there, y'all probably heard me say it. And I just stand and all of a sudden, divorce.
The voice.
In the head.
And it's not the God voice.
No, it said, you know what you need? I said, what? He said, I ain't going to say it like he said. It said, all you need is a good butt whooping. And I responded back. I said, really?
So
I said, who gonna give it to me?
Yeah. So actually, those our guardians, those who
Mhm,
raised us,
mhm,
those people we were
They
around,
believe in butt whoopings.
they're in our heads.
Yeah.
They're
Oh,
in
yeah.
our heads. Their conversations are in
From
our
the first to the
heads.
seventh, sixth grade, I got
Mhm.
butt whoopings all the way up to the. I thought my butt was a board.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought my butt was a board with a hose in it.
Hello, Angel. I'm so glad you're here.
That's an angel.
Yes, Angel.
Oh,
That's Angel.
angel in the house. Oh.
We need some angels in the
Hey,
house.
you know what? I'd be out in the yard doing something, and my daddy would come out there in the yard around the chopping block, and with everything he could, he'd pick up a stick and whoop my butt right there in the park, out there in the woodshed, all out there around everybody. Didn't care who was there.
You
Right.
probably deserved it. He was like Dennis the Menace. He really was.
Yeah, I did.
He was like Dennis the
Yeah,
Menace.
I was. I did some. We was playing like the Little Rascals.
Now, Brother Blue says this:
Yeah.
there is a balance you have to maintain. What do you mean? What do you think about that? There is a balance you have to maintain.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, but sometimes you get out of hand.
And I think he's referring to the I'm going to react this way rather than that way, out of love, or am I going to react out of my conditionings?
I was standing in a store at the mall, and I was in the front in the row, and I was the next person to be waited on at the cash register. This guy that was on the cash register saw another guy come up on the left side of me, and he stopped and waited on him. And I said, wait a minute. I said, this don't look right.
Did your ego get upset?
Oh, what you talking about? I looked at that guy. I said, wait a minute, hold it, sir. I said, I was standing here before he came up. And I said, you are going to stop with. I said, where's your manager at?
But listen. We have here in our city a place where we go get Japanese, and it's a place where it's almost like the Express where you can just go in and get it and bring it. So sometimes we will call it in and get an order to go. But every time I call it in and get an order to go, I go down there and I still have to sit and wait. And other people come in and they get theirs right away and go. And so I'm thinking, this is a setup. This is a setup. So if I look at them and point the finger at them in judgment, I would think they are just ignoring me. But if I look through the eyes of that unconditional love and the eyes of the one who is more interested in me evolving than me just feeling good, then I will understand that is a setup to cause me to get out of my judgments and my conditionings. Now, I know that some people don't want to hear this because they want to. The juice of reacting feels so good.
Oh, yeah.
So good. But it is actually a setup for you to evolve. That's why it keeps happening like that.
And you will eventually be brought back to that incident somewhere again to re-handle it, or to it's just to school. You're gonna
it is to
because
bring it's to bring you to the place where none of those things move you.
That's right,
period.
That's right.
And you continue to see Christ in those people. You see Christ in those people.
Now here's where the supernatural, real miracle, real course of miracles take place. In everyday life.
Everyday life. Yes, sir.
Everyday life
Definitely
is right in front of you.
You're being taught.
I've had to apologize for my attitude, saying the wrong thing. You know what? It's just like you dating your girlfriend. You done said everything and she just love you, and all of a sudden you say something and ruin the whole thing.
Listen, let me get these comments. Sinette says the balance between setting borders and friendliness. Yes. Between setting a border, this is my space and you've interrupted my space, anyway, and you're being open. The more clear on setting clear borders and able to be roomy at the same time when I feel connected.
Now I want to know, are you getting something from this? I am. I get something from my own teaching.
Noelle said this. Jill's watching with Noelle. She says they're watching together, and she said that there is nothing you can do where love is absent.
Oh, wait. Y'all know something.
And waking up is key. Waking up is key. Good morning, Oliver and Yolanda, Ollie and Yo-Yo. Yes, and Marquesa says, "Where's the place you call in your order?" She wants to know about the Japanese place.
Oh, it's over here in Kernersville. What they call it?
Yeah.
What's the name of it?
Yeah, it's Osaka in
Osaka.
Kernersville. They're wonderful people. They're friends.
Might go by
They're
there
friends of
today.
ours. Yeah, we
Can't
might
never
go
tell.
today.
We
That's
might
right.
go today.
Be a good place for lunch
Yeah, might
today.
go to Winston too and eat that prime rib over that day too.
Okay.
It's your birthday.
No, it's not my birthday yet.
When is it? Thursday.
It's Thursday.
Well, we'll do it again then.
Well, they don't have the
We
prime
don't.
rib
Well, we
on
go
Thursday.
somewhere
I
else.
don't want to go. I don't want to go there for my birthday.
Where you want to go?
Anyway,
I'll tell you to Germany.
we'll decide on that later. Buzz says, I mentioned before that car horns push my buttons.
Oh, Buzz, you better. Oh, I got one out there for you, Buzz.
Listen to what he says. I've come to think people honk at me to teach me patience.
Buzz, what you talking about?
You're probably going to be bombarded
Buzz, what you talking
with
about?
horns just because they push your buttons. And
let's put it out on the table, Buzz. I know. I made some people mad when they throw the finger at me. I got a 2-trumpet train horn on my Jeep.
You would be. Excuse my French. You would be pissed at him for real.
Now, with my ears being like it is, I don't hear it loud in the Jeep. But them folks outside, they get mad, and I don't lay out on it. I just got a button I hit. And some of them get mad.
But you know what, Buzz? It's not the horns that you don't like.
Yeah.
It's being startled that you don't like.
The startlation.
Mm-hmm. You're being startled. And that comes for myself now. I'm not talking about you. When I'm lost in my mind and I'm concentrating on something too heavily, I'm not in the moment, then things startle me more.
But Buzz, I'll tell you, that little bit of horn in that Jeep sound like a little old scooter. Beep, beep,
yeah,
beep.
He makes a lot of people mad.
But then when I'm out on the highway and them big trucks.
But you know what? He gets paid back for it, Buzz.
What?
When we're in the neighborhood and baby girl's with us in the Jeep and he blows that horn, if he blows the little horn, the toot horn, baby girl will bark so loud that he'll have to go, ah, and he tries to hit her. Because
it hurts my ears.
He gets paid back for it.
But I thought one time, Buzz, I was gonna put one in my bathroom and just let it blow all night long. But anyway, I'm just kidding with you. Hey, me and this girl right here, we have fun.
So look, I guess today's theme is to be the peaceful warrior.
Oh, shucks, yeah.
Be the peaceful warrior.
You are the peace in every situation that seemed to be chaotic.
Yes.
I ought to give you some sugar.
Well, you can in a little bit.
No, I won't do it now.
So tell me, what is, and I should know what this means, but what is passive resistance? Passive resistance.
I don't want to talk about that.
Because it's resistance, but it's passive. So tell me what you think passive resistance is.
Sounds to me like it's acting ugly and you don't want nobody to see all of it, but you be doing a little bit at a time.
Okay, that's your version of
passive. I mean,
passive
you're still
resistance.
Doing it. You're resisting, but you're trying to be nice, nasty.
Okay, you think you're actually being nasty.
You're resisting, you're doing it, but you're not doing it as abrupt.
So you're thinking it's sarcastic.
Yeah, kind of passive resistance. You're resisting, but you're kind of making it look like you don't know what you're doing.
Martial arts people, you guys know what passive resistance is. Tell me what you think passive resistance is. And I know Apostle Norman's probably taking off. He's probably taking. What you laughing at?
Marquesa said she's gonna post that today.
Yeah, she's posting the live stream.
Yes, she's talking. Oh boy, they're gonna hear everything we talking about.
Yeah. See, it goes out there, and I keep telling you, it's going out there.
Somebody said they love it. But no, he love it too.
Buzz says when cars are moving, that's one thing. When they're not, that really irritates me. I know I'm.
Buzz, you know what?
Listen, I know I move slow, and I know you're there. No need to honk.
But you know what? I found out one thing about that, Buzz. Let me tell you what happened. When it was presented to me by the universe, the definition of unconditional love and no judgments. I said, how will I know when I'm operating in unconditional love? And how will I know when I'm in judgment? He brought to my attention football games and movies. He said, when you sit and watching the television and your team look like it's losing and going to catch the ball, there's a part of you to get up out of your body and get in it. He said, that's judgment. He said, when you stand in the grocery store and somebody didn't get the price tag on a certain item, you have to stand there in line and wait. He said, till they get back with the price, that's judgment. That's a feeling of judgment.
Yeah. And that's what I was going to say.
And the sooner you recognize it.
Yeah. And so that's what's happening with you as well, Buzz. You're irritated, not with the honks. You're not irritated with the horns.
That's a judgment.
You're irritated with people's impatience of you.
Yeah. And you notice, but this judgment I'm talking about has nothing to do with a person going to heaven or hell like we've been taught. But it is a hell that you are in your emotions and your impatience, or I'm sorry, not that impatience. I'm not going to claim it as
because
yours.
The impatience lives in all of us.
It's not, and you're not going to recognize what I'm talking about until the incident come up. It's probably working inside of us now, and we call it the monkey mind or anxiety.
Yes. Now, Sinette's brought up another good analogy for us. She says in Cato, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, Sinette. She says we just focus on our own energy.
Okay.
When someone tries to bend your arm, and for example, when someone tries to bend your arm, you just think of a creamy cake, and they can't bend your arm.
Now, somebody told me one time that they heard me say, and a person got in an altercation with me. I said, I don't remember saying nothing like that. They told me, said, you told them to kiss your tail till you got tired. I said, they've been kissing a long time.
It's amazing how people hear what they want to hear. And
I ain't never told nobody that, but it's a good idea.
But, if you play that game, all of you are familiar with that game where you start on one end in a circle and you whisper in the other person's ear. By the time it gets to the end of that circle, everybody has changed that story.
Yeah, that's right.
It's just a part of the human.
I said, no, I ain't never told about kiss my till I got time. But I said it's a good idea.
So that's all the more reason why you have to hear these kinds of sayings and appointings when we come to you, because when you have to hear them over and over and over, it has to become second nature.
We had a pastor who was going to practice what the scripture said in Matthew, except a man on the cheek turn the other.
Oh, yeah.
And he was standing there.
The one I just read about, the one I just read.
And he had stood there and he said, he stand in front of this guy and he slapped him. He said the guy standing there in the middle of the church slapped him back. So that was the end of that chapter,
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, my
but now goodness. I have had people when I worked in the factory tell me to kiss their tail. I said, if it's that good, you ought to sell it.
But look. Oh, gosh.
Did
you have to say that?
Yeah, I had to say it. I'm just telling you where I was. But you know what?
Oh, my Lord. Listen. Go ahead. Those reactions when it's someone else involved, we laugh. But when it's us, it's totally different. But that's why we like comedy movies and we like slapstick. We like all this craziness because it's a part of us. It's a part of this life. So, don't be so judgmental.
The guy came to our church one time and he was up in, we used to do them old church evangelical testimonies and the apostolic. He stand up testifying how God had blessed him and he done had all raggedy houses and he knew God had blessed him real good and got a new house. He said, I know so and so well. He cussed in the church. He said, I know God ain't gonna give me no damn shack. He cussed it like that.
I know we all
everybody. I think we drawed up.
Those were our real holier than
thou. We drawed up.
Well, everybody went ooh.
Lord,
but at the same time, we laughed.
Yeah, we did. We did.
So
you tell them about that time I went in the men's restroom with the mic, the white cordless mic on. They forgot to turn it off on the board. And I went in the bathroom and
you forgot to turn it off.
I forgot to turn it off, and I went in there, and another man was in there with me, and we were just going in there just a squirting and counting. And then when I come out, everybody in the church turned around and looked at me.
Right. Now listen, we got to come off of that.
Okay.
Buzz says he's been conditioned to dislike it. He said, but his dad loves the horn. Your life is a comedy. Your life is a comedy.
I like to lay down on it too, because I tell you, I lay that thing. Hey, mine got a big compressor on it. I lay on it till it just goes solid. It'll go, then go, whoa.
Yes, he will. He will. Beatrice says this. I decided if I want to respond to my surroundings or not. Yes, because I don't like being controlled.
Yeah.
and you don't like being controlled because you're the controller. And that is why we don't want to be controllers, because we are the controllers.
Yeah. Okay, the Johnson is on there now.
Yeah, the Johnson. The Johnson.
Here.
I'm looking at her, Beatrice Johnson. We're looking at Beatrice.
Yeah, we know Beatrice.
It's amazing. I'm watching these comments, and it's highlighted, and maybe we'll look at somebody right above it. It's the same one I'm looking at. Won't look at the one I'm highlighting.
No, I look at that. Hey, I just love doing this kind of stuff.
We love you guys. We appreciate you coming in to see us today. Please take the time right now to like and share if you would. That just gives us more opportunity for people to find us when they go searching for us online. Please like and share. And if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do that right now. And by all means, support this ministry so that it can continue. So if you want to give to tech, I won't say if you want to give, because I know you want to give. And thank you for those of you who have been giving to us and Pastor through Cash App. That's $A Sawyer C, or paypal.me/ACE Sawyer 72. Or you can give to Cornerstone itself, which is a virtual church. It is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and it is still viable, still functional. So go to the website. That's thecornerstonelifecenter.com, or you can text it CLC Greensboro to 73256. Jill's already posted that in the comment section. Or you can do paypal.me/cornerstone35. If you're just old school, or you just don't want to use the online features, you can always mail it to us by P.O. Box 36259, Greensboro, North Carolina 27416. So thank you. We love you too, guys. We love you too. Thank you so much, Beatrice. Thank you so much, Buzz. Buzz says, when you think about it, horns are quite snobby, but that's a judgment. It is that's a judgment. But it's okay. There's no rights or wrongs. Thank you so much, you guys. Thank you, Beatrice, for showing up. Thank you, Buzz. Thank you, Sinette. We love you so much, sweetie, in Denmark. Wish we could see you guys.
In person.
Wish we could see you. Yes.
Okay, you guys are filled up there.
And Brother Blue, Angel, Marquesa, Jill, all of you guys. Thank you so much. Virginia.
Norman, thank you. Leslie.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for the love gifts and all that you've given to us, and help us keep this thing going.
And True Blossom, whoever you are. True Blossom. And Leslie, we thank you guys for being here. Vincent Kelly in California. Hey, Vincent, I love you. You and Diana. Sharon, kiss Miss Essie for me. Miss Pearl.
Vincent, the other Vincent called me yesterday, but I could never get back to him. He had a show down over in Winston. And had to play music over there.
And John Greason, we didn't hear a lot from you today, but I know you're here watching us. Thank you for joining us. David Singleton, thank you. Sissy and brother-in-law.
Pearson, we thank you.
Edith Brown, hello, Edith. And Tanita, tell your mom we said hello, Tanita. Brother Blue, good to have you with us today. CJ, Dee Dee and George, Adele, Joe, Sandra, thank you guys for tuning in.
Hey, you guys on the ball today. You're filling up the house now. I appreciate that.
Yes.
Come on, let's get together again on Tuesday at 7, okay?
Tuesday at 7. We'll see you then.
I look forward to it. I can't wait, baby. We'll start again in a few minutes. You better hurry up and get off, because I'll start over in a minute now. Hey, I appreciate it, you guys, and you drive safe, be safe, and smile and make everybody happy as much as you can, okay?
Yes. So we'll see you later.
Okay, see you then.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.